hopefully there'll be no more frames dropping. Alright, let me see. Alright. So, hold on for a second. So we're only going to, let's see if I can, actually, let me do this. Theater. There we go. That's even a little bit better. Okay. Alright. So, we got a video from a homestead journey. So basically, she does TikTok videos of, hold on for a second. She does TikTok videos about a lot of people that on TikTok that are really complaining and are really talking about how crazy it is in American society. And the reason they post so much on TikTok than they do on other platforms is because, you know, in other platforms. So, I got 2 live streams running. So I'm going to show you guys before we get started. So, let me refresh the page. It should be live right now. Alright, here we go. So, if you see the red dot that I was telling you guys about, that is me going live on my computer. Okay, horizontally, sorry. The vertical is this live stream which you guys are on right now. As you can see, there's the mobile streaming software is my computer. Mobile is, you know, you guys get the idea. And I appreciate the 2 likes. Alright, so so we're gonna go to here and we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that I've been saying for quite some time. Alright, and I got my earpiece in my ear so I can talk to you guys directly. So let's get started. And before we get started, I need to do something about okay, because I gotta cut this light off. You should come. Yeah, we could do that after this live. We can do that. I actually enjoyed that, Bobby. The last time we did it, I enjoyed it. But yeah, we can do this. We can do that after the live if you want. I'm not sure if I can do it while I'm live on YouTube and go live on. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I got the. It's an Apple Mac computer, but I don't know if it has the capacity for it. But just to be on the safe side, we can do that after this. Yeah, we can do that. I would love to do that. Finally, I get to go live on my actual gaming TikTok. Okay, let me see. Now, we're going to go into what is going on with... Okay, here we go. Come on, make up your mind. Where are you going to be? Okay, here we go. It's so unique. And it's so unique having... Let's see. I'll go here. We're going to change to the camera. We're going to hit the edge here because I want to be able to, um, you guys can see me clearly. Okay. What's going on, School of Flourishing? What's up, man? Welcome to the live, man. We going over some more fuckery. We're going over some more ridiculous stuff that's going on in the US of A. I'm doing good, man. What's going on? Okay. Let me see. Now, so basically there's this YouTuber called A Homestead Journey. So basically she does different TikTok videos and she put them together to talk about and show the people of many Americans that are going through a rough time in America and all the damages and stuff that Donald Trump is doing to this country. Whereas there's so much going on in the government house, it's ridiculous. Let's see. Well, sort it out in DMs because it's midnight here and I got a banging headache, so probably headache. Okay, Bobby. I mean, get you some rest. You know, take some aspirin or something. Get you some rest, and then we can do it whenever you wake up. That's no big deal. I mean, if you got a headache, I don't want you to. I want you to, feel better. And I know those headaches are no joke. I had after I had my 2 seizures when I was just a kid, I had headaches. Not even aspirin was able to help it. And I went to the doctor. This was back when I was just a kid. And they said there was nothing they can do about it. They gave me subscriptions, stronger ones. And, they kind of fluctuated with the dosage to kind of, basically experimenting what works and what wasn't going to work on me. And the headaches weren't stopping. But try to get you some rest, Bobby, if you can. And take some aspirin or something. I know y'all have a headache and dealing with probably the roommates. Because I think James told me that been having some issues with the roommates and being too loud and they just those headaches are not fun. Those headaches are not fun. It's not fun at all having those headaches. Ugh. Try to get some aspirin or maybe if you want to go lay down and get some rest, go lay down and get some rest, Bobby. And then you could just get up and I'll still be here. All right. Okay, so basically, sorry guys, I'm talking on the vertical and then I'm horizontal. And the reason I got the vertical cuz I get more people over here and I'm trying to get them to come to the horizontal, but you know how that goes. So, she does TikTok videos. Okay. Uh okay, I'll DM you on Discord after I finish this live stream. All right. Sleep well, Bobby. All right. So, she does TikTok videos basically well, YouTube videos showing many of TikTok videos about people that are struggling, people that are having a hard time, complaining about the gas prices and everything else in between. So, um, So now we're going to view these videos, these mini clips that she put together, and I'm going to do my commentary on these videos. So let's get started. And if you guys want to support, my Cash App link is in the link in the chat. And I think I probably have to do it. Excuse me. For this one as well. And then I don't even know what the password is. Okay, I just don't know. I'm gonna have to not even worry about that. Okay, let me see. We get the chat back up. Oops. Docs. Get the chat back up. Okay, that's not good, because I gotta get that YouTube chat back up. That's not good. Stats control. Oh, I think that's it. Okay, there we go. So, let me just fix something right quick. Okay, let me see. Okay, so then. Okay, so let me hit. I don't get it. Why is it not letting me? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to go to my channel, and sorry about that. I don't want you guys to. Oh, I see. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let me stop sharing this for a minute. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm gonna post this. I'll put support link. Alright. Just give me a minute. Alright. Thank you guys for the likes and the link and the subscribers. Alright, and if you guys want to buy my merch, okay. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna replace this. Alright. Back to this. Okay. And let me see. Let me see if I can. Okay, so I need to get on here, properties. Okay. It's not. Oops. Oops. Okay. So, here we go. Going back to my channel. Okay. Alright. So, here we go. And, here we go. Alright. If it'll play for us.
Worst economic recession since the Great Depression, the 2008 financial crisis, caused by boomers that spent the 80s and 90s deregulating the banking industry, then veered directly into the wreckage with a degree that we were told we had to get, and student loan debt into a job market that actively was not hiring. And then when the economy did finally start to stabilize, we got hit with a global pandemic, which exposed every crack in the system, from healthcare and housing to employment and mental health. All of it broke at once. And on the other side of that, the housing market became completely unaffordable. And it's not because we were buying avocado toast or iced coffee. It's because the average home price has outpaced wage growth by 300% since the boomers were buying. So they bought homes for like 60 grand and then watched them appreciate to over $500,000. Now they're sitting on half the country's wealth while telling us we just need to work harder. And now, war with Iran and $5 gas. Social Security projected to run out before most of us retire. A system, by the way, that boomers have been drawing from for years and that we've been paying into our whole careers, but will likely never see a dime of. The audacity to look at us and say, your generation just doesn't want to work. We have been working our whole lives. We've been working hard to survive in the economy you built. We've been in crisis the whole time. So
nobody talks about how exhausting it starts to feel to even just leave the house.
And that's the thing too with the other lady is like, you know, she's always saying, "Oh, well, you just don't want to work. You just don't want to do this." And the newer generation has been working all their lives. All right, we've been working all of our lives. As a matter of fact, speaking of working all of our lives, let me see some right quick. Let me do something right quick, guys. Give me a second. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Alright, let me see. Hold on, guys. Alright. see. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave that. Oops. We're gonna leave that right here. We're gonna leave that right here. And then, okay, there we go. All right. So, ooh, hold on. Trying to fix this up here. So, hold on. I'm sorry you guys had to go through this. I'm gonna have to kind of. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's get back to it.
Even because you don't want to, but because your nervous system has been on for too long, that being out in the world just starts to feel draining. The noise, the stimulation, the unpredictability. It's like somebody turned the energy faucet on and forgot to plug the drain. The energy it takes to respond, to move, to simply interact. Eventually, your body starts resisting it altogether. So staying home starts to feel easier or safer, much less overwhelming. And the more overwhelmed your nervous system becomes, the smaller your comfort zone gets. That's why healing isn't just making yourself go out more. It's teaching your body that being present in the world doesn't have to feel so exhausting all the time. And honestly, I think a lot more people are dealing with this than they realize.
When do you think they'll get it? When do you think they're going to understand that people cannot afford the lives that they want? They can't afford the children. The generations will continue to get smaller. People will continue having fewer children. When do you think that's going to happen? Like, it's not a matter of, oh, well, it's just like a minor dip. It's a matter of the fact that people can barely make it work on their own. Or if you're in a situation like myself, I'm finally making really good money. I'm not going to immediately funnel that to a freaking kid. No, absolutely not. And yet the cost of living is still insane. Inflation's still insane. Housing still insane. And it's like they just think that they can continue to escalate on every front and everyone's still going to comply. Like, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to collapse. Like, I just don't understand why this is all coming as a surprise for them. They just think they can squeeze more and more and more. Everyone's increasing their prices on every front and saying, why isn't anyone having children? Gee, I wonder.
I just watched a TikTok asking the question of what is going to happen when the average American can no longer afford to live in this country. And a lot of the comments were saying, oh, we'll just move to Europe or move to another country or something like that. And, pretty much saying that they'll rescind their citizenship and move somewhere else, which in a perfect world, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? If you can make US dollars while living in another country, or finding a place that just doesn't really require as much bullshit as this country does to live, then yeah, I'm all for it. But I think, and I've had this theory for a while, I think it's going to take a different turn. Once it gets to the point where the average American can no longer afford to live with basic essentials, can't afford groceries, can't afford housing, things like that, I think that corporations are going to take over. I really think that there are plans in place to establish corporate housing and pretty much just living in a pod, a company issued pod like Idiocracy or Ready Player One, where you live there as long as you're working at that job and everything is provided by the company, nothing is yours, and you'll just be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the direction that we're going in. I know that
And I kind of I understand what he's saying, because what's really happening is right now everything is becoming so overpriced that it almost seems like the government wants to control everything. They want to control where you live at. They want to control where you get your gas at. They want to control the job that you work at. And basically, in a nutshell, he's saying that he was just speculating that um, it's, I mean, right now, it's already worse. And it's going to get even more worse next year. And I keep saying this. And what's going to end up happening is a lot of jobs, unless if you are working a job for their corporation, they're going to basically, what he's saying is they're going to basically, the companies are going to own most of these lands, including where you live at. And the only time that you can be able to live there is you have to work. If you don't work for that company, you can't live there. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. Basically, that's kind of like a hint of what's going to be happening in 2027. And it's going to get worse before it gets, if it even gets any better. That'll be mind blowing. But we both know that it's not going to get any better. It's not.
Are corporations out there that have been implementing this. They've been buying properties, and I think that that's what they're getting ready for is, that type of scenario if nothing changes. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that we as a society, especially my generation, we're kind of left holding the bag. We've been conditioned to be complacent. We've been conditioned to be comfortable as long as we have, our little paychecks, as long as we have Netflix and our little car to go to work with CarPlay, and you have that little bar that's nearby to go get drinks with your buddies. As long as we have all those little creature comforts, we're not going to do anything. You know what I'm saying? Other countries have burned their cities down for much less than what we tolerate. And our forefathers have also burned their cities down for much, much less than what we tolerate. So I think that that's the direction that we're going in. I mean, I feel that capitalism as a whole has just overtaken every nook and cranny, every crevice of American society. Everywhere you turn, somebody's trying to bleed you fucking dry. You know what I'm saying? Why is a gordita crunch from Taco Bell by itself almost $6, where you can get their big box with a combo and a drink for the same price? It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that it's just bottom line trying to expand that margin while paying as little as possible to the people who make it happen, those means of production. And what's also sad to see is there are people who advocate for these corporations and say, why should they pay you a livable wage? Why do you feel entitled to luxury? And they think that a living wage is a luxury and a privilege. You know what I'm saying? And, well, learn a valuable skill. I did, so you should. I paid my house off, but they failed to mention that they live in bumfuck Kentucky, where the cost of living is fucking minimum wage, and their houses start at $60,000 for a fucking single wide. You know what I'm saying? They fail to tell you that. They fail to tell you that they're privileged in their life, that their parents helped them buy a house, that their spouse makes good money, that they're a dual income household. Not everybody's living like that. And a lot of the places where folks want to live, not your bumfuck town, it's going to cost money. You got to pay to play. You know what I'm saying? And people can't just uproot and take a risk and move to a small town hoping that they're going to find a good job within 50 miles of said town. You know what I'm saying? I'm very privileged with my job. I work 100% remote. I can live anywhere in the country as long as there's good internet, and I can make the same salary. And I'm blessed enough to be able to make a little bit over six figures with a little bit of overtime and bonuses. But I still empathize with people who are struggling because I have family members who don't make as much as I do.
And see, and here's the thing, you got some people that can make so much money with their job working completely remote. You know, not a lot of people, and then not a lot of men make that kind of money. You know, And not a lot of men, not saying that they can't do it, but it's like the job that he has is everybody's job. Everybody wants to work remote. Everybody don't want to uh get up and work in a job for the rest of their lives, you know? But when it all comes down to it, it's like you have to you have to learn how to do this yourself, excuse me. And I get what he's saying. A lot of people don't, a lot of guys don't make that type of money in this crazy economy that they living in. And to all of these ladies out here that are talking about how a man gotta have six figures and he gotta have this and he gotta have that, y'all need to cut that out. We're living in a crazy economy right now that not a lot of men are making that type of money, especially if they're working a white or a blue collar job and they're making so much money, and then only to have that job just lay them off, and now they're without nothing. So I could tell by this guy, he's got himself set up in a good position. So if stuff go to go down, he's not going to be without nothing. But it's also good to know that people who make that type of money, very few men actually make that kind of money. Not a lot of guys make that type of money, but it's good to see one person that actually can sympathize with people that are not able to make that kind of money. They don't even have the right connections and they don't have the right people to do it.
And they have children who are just starting out in the world, and they're not going to make anywhere near what I'm making starting out as young adults, and they're just going to have to figure it out. And I understand that nobody's coming to help you, nobody's coming to save you, but you should also learn to empathize with your neighbor, because God forbid something happens to you where you got to start over, or you get fired from your job, or your trade is no longer essential. You know what I'm saying? And if you feel that paying other employed full-time workers a livable wage is an insult to you, maybe it's because you're also underpaid. You know what I'm saying? So a little empathy goes a long way. And these types of posts always bring out these fucking corporate bots who support and advocate for exploitation. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to fall for it. Okay. You're just a fucking bot at some bot farm in China or fucking Israel, and you're just trying to agitate. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think society's going if we remain complacent. We know what needs to be done, but we are not unified enough to take that kind of stand. Like I said, other countries have burned their cities down for much less.
I'm a Gen Z and I am no longer passionate about anything. I've only been alive for less than 3 decades and I've already lost almost all will to live and passion and drive. Why? Because America and American capitalism has put lifestyle behind a paywall. America says that we are so burdened, we the people are so burdened with human life that we must benefit from the existence of all of you people. So the least you all could do is be cogs in our machines, aka funnel money into billionaire businesses. So we'd find some of you worthy of keeping alive. That's why livable wage isn't easily accessible. We don't want all of you to stay alive. We don't, like, it's a lot of y'all. It's too many of y'all. It's just enough that
Let's go back. Hold on.
it's enough to keep us rich, but it's too many for us to like have to care about all of y'all, because all of y'all aren't billionaires. All of y'all aren't even millionaires. Most of y'all aren't even middle class. I think that's what pisses me off the most about like the political state of America is that I want them to just straight up say like, hey, we're evil. Like, hey.
Yeah, so I get what he's saying, and I'm just gonna tell you, like, America is never honest. The government is never honest to the people about what is actually going on. The only thing they're doing is they're pricing you out of a country that you were born and raised in, And it's not like you can just go to another country and stay there, because due to the visa laws and all of that that's put in place, you gotta remain here. So it's like they just want all of the American people to just perish. They just want them to be burnt out, worked out, and I think that Donald Trump's version of making America great again is where you got all the billionaires that are living here and all the people who are making high class dollars that can be able to live here. And people who are not making that kind of money should perish while all the rich and the wealthy just flourish. That's just the way it is. They, you know, your own country, they don't want you to succeed. They don't want you to build generational wealth. They don't want you to do anything. They just want you to be poor. They want you to be miserable. They want you to jump off of a building or take yourself out. They want you to be emotionally stressed. They want you to be stressed financially. They want you to always stretching your nickels and pennies just to get by. They always want you to do all of those things because they don't care about you. Not even your own. Not only do you have the government, like I said in recent videos and recent live streams, but your own flesh and blood family will abandon you, especially as a young man growing up. When you get of age 18, your parents will throw you out on the streets, telling you that you got to figure it out. Then you have to get it out of the mud. You got to figure everything else out, and they leave you to fend for yourself. In this world today, you can't trust nobody. You can't trust anybody, and you can't deal with anybody because everybody is not trustworthy and they're not going to help you. Especially if you are, not only do you have family that doesn't care about you and they exile you for nothing, but they also, you have strangers that will help you, but it don't be that much help. You see what I mean? Because they don't know you and everything. But at the very least, you have strangers that actually help you. You don't have people that, instead of your own family, you have to go through strangers to get help. It's insane. It's crazy. And it's really sad. And these parents can sleep at night, throwing their kids out on the streets. They don't care about you trying to survive. When it comes down to it, in America, people only think for themselves. They only thinking about their survival and not yours.
Reason why everything's so expensive is because we don't want y'all to be able to afford to stay alive. Like we're even increasing the price of sustenance, like food and shelter, because we don't want y'all to stay alive. We've literally made it illegal to be homeless because we want y'all to yourselves. We don't want y'all to stay alive. Please stop asking us to make everything affordable. We want y'all to starve to. I want them to just say that, because this game of like bootstraps, lazy, entitled Gen Z, the like.
But see, here's the thing. America and the government is never going to just come out and say that. The government do things under the table. Bills are being passed. It's not going to benefit us as hardworking or benefit the hardworking Americans, but it's only benefiting the administration and the government. They're the ones that's getting richer off of everything that's being passed now. And they know, even President Donald Trump and the administration, everybody, they know that people are struggling. They know that gas prices is high. They know this. But guess what? They don't care. When they do things, it's for their benefit. It's not going to be for your benefit. So it's just the way it is. It's sad, but you live in a country that doesn't care about you. And the real American dream is leaving America.
The way older generations refuse to take any accountability for the life that Gen Z now has to live and will instead jump through hoops to gaslight millennials and Gen Z into being like, actually, you all have it way easier than we did. So we have no idea what y'all are complaining about. When I was your age, I paid off my house and my car just being the milkman. Y'all just refused to go get jobs. Oh, jobs don't pay a livable. La, 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 la.
You know, I think it's time we address the great shift of 2021. Back in 2021, society just stopped caring. You know, it wasn't this like dramatic collapse of society, but everyone just kind of looked around and went, yeah, you know what? I think that's about enough, huh? You can see it everywhere. Customer service, gone. No one even pretends anymore. You call a company, the automated voice doesn't even give a shit. It's like, thank you for calling. All representatives are currently busy vaping behind the building. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, please hang up and call someone who cares. Restaurants don't care anymore. The menu's on your phone, you order on your phone. Some kid who escaped a genocide 2 weeks ago brings you your food. Then you pay on your phone, and then it gives you an option for tipping. You're like, who am I tipping? I haven't interacted with anybody. The kids speak in TikTok now. It's ridiculous. You can't understand a word they're saying. You're like, so, how's work going? It's cooked. My manager's tweaking. He's constantly aura farming. Valid crash outs, but I'm standing on business. And I'm low Kirk about to get fired. But honestly, lore. I hate you. But honestly, I'd rather those kids than the ones that are dressed like the bullies in Back to the Future 2. You say good morning to one of them, they just stare at you. Kid like legitimately thinks he's like a fox or some shit. Beyond shot. Hotels are...
Yeah, remember when I told you guys about how when you saying hello to people and they give you that crazy face, they're like, and then they be like, and then a lot of times when you wave at them, they just look at you like like you're some stranger, some crazy lunatic person. People don't even say hello no more.
out. Remember back in the day, hotels would clean your room daily. Last hotel I stayed at, my wife comes in the room. She goes, oh, great, they cleaned the room today. I'm like, this used to happen every day. Am I crazy? Was that not assumed? It used to be automatic, daily. Housekeeping comes and cleans the room. Now it's just like whenever the hell they feel like it. Hollywood's given up. Every movie is just Zendaya or Timothy Chalamet or both. And it's either a remake or a reboot or a sequel or a prequel. Nothing new, nothing innovative, nothing creative. Remember when the biggest studios in the world made good movies? Like, I'm just saying, we used to build railroads through mountains. Now, what are we making? Ghostbusters 6. It's pathetic. Anyway, it's all crumbling.
I sit in my car every day after work, exhausted. I am 57 years old. When is it going to end? I'm tired of working. Everything is just getting more expensive. I'm over this life. I want to sell it all and move to an island.
We can't.
I think moving to an island may be a good idea because right now America is just really getting draining. These corporations are just draining people. I don't know how long. Something eventually is gonna have to give before then. Something's gonna have to give because this is ridiculous. Like, I work a job myself, and it is tiring. It's really tiring.
Doing this. Last night I went to the grocery store. 2 bags of groceries. $72.
Actually, remember the live stream I made yesterday showing you guys the receipt of how much I bought in groceries? My cost was $73, and I think it was like, let me pull the receipt if I still got it. I can't show you guys because you guys might not be able to see it through the screen, but this is the receipt from yesterday. Okay? And with this receipt, I spent $76.73. Now, when I was at the grocery store, I bought, it wasn't really that many items. It was like 6 items. And they were all yellow tagged, which means I could use my awards card to get a discount. And I still had to pay a little almost over $70, $80 plus, almost $80 plus, and it was $73.67, which is about the same cost as buying a Nintendo Switch game that costs $80 plus. That's how much my groceries were. Anytime when you're buying something, it should not cost the same amount as you would if you're buying a gaming or a video game. It shouldn't. But now, mind you, went to the grocery store. I spent. I only tackled the discount prices. Okay, so I could use my rewards card to get affordable stuff. And you know what? It costed me $73.76. I think that's how much it was. Let me check. $76.73. Not only mention I gotta pay rent, my phone bill, I don't get to see no money at all. At all. There have been times I went 3 months without eating, with no food, because everything is so high. I mean, according to the receipt, it says I saved $11.76, but what difference does that make?
This morning I stopped and filled up my tank. $60. I just put gas in it 2 days ago. I do drive a little bit to work, but no matter what you do, you got nothing. No matter how hard you work, no matter how early you go in, no matter how much you make, you got nothing. At the end of the week, you got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Can't afford a house. Can't afford food.
And see, the thing is, so my landlord is trying to sell the house. In this messed up economy that we're working in, who in the world even has money to even buy a house to begin with? Nobody's. I mean, these jobs are not keeping up with the cost of living. It's not keeping up with the cost of your cell phone bill. It's not keeping up with the cost of gas going up. It's not keeping up with the cost of groceries and food. Even if you do use your awards card and you get a discount, it's not keeping up with the cost of that. So, who has money to buy a house? Unless if you're looking at Donald Trump and people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they can afford anything. And then you got very few people that make 6 figures. But the overall majority of men don't make that type of money. And half of these people, they don't even know where to start into making that type of money. And I'm telling you, people are crashing out. They're saying that the economy is booming, everything is going okay. It is. It's going okay when they're not the ones on the opposite side of the fence, struggling, trying to stretch two nickels to get by. This man right here is living proof, along with other videos. So if America and the economy is booming and doing great, why is he complaining about the cost of everything going up, along with other people that are complaining about the same thing? Don't seem like everything is fine to me.
Can't afford utilities. Every time you go to the store, a bag of chips is like $6 or $7. A loaf of bread, $5.
Yep.
Gallon of milk, $5. The only thing that's cheap is a dozen eggs.
Actually, a dozen eggs is not cheap either. Because you're spending just as much on a dozen eggs as you would on any other item in the store. It might be different from the state that he's from, but in Alaska, everything is expensive up here. And the jobs are not keeping up with that. And it's not just Alaska, it's all the states. This whole entire country. And the corporations are trying to pay their workers less and less money. Everything is going up. Everything. Except for your paycheck from the jobs you work.
I've been thinking about living off eggs. Have an egg for breakfast, have a hard-boiled egg for lunch, and have a omelet with no cheese for dinner.
I mean, you can do that, but my thing is I tried to live off of what was it that I eat when I was what was it that I eat that I was oh, I tried to live off of just drinking tea. Just drinking tea and drinking water. But that only got me so far. And eventually, I mean, my thing is, you can eat nothing but just eggs, but that can only get you so far. Eventually, you're going to crave and you're going to want something else.
It seems like everybody in the world has nothing. But why are the people in government so rich? I heard a theory the other day, and they said that what if everybody in government made minimum wage for a year? Would things change? I don't know. They probably suffer for a year, but then they probably go right back to being the same way they were before. Nobody's got nothing. Elderly got nothing. You see old people at the gas station trying to buy gas, and you can see it in their eyes. They got nothing. Young kids just out of college, they got nothing. You can't afford a house. Everybody's got nothing, and it's not cool anymore. It's never been cool, but everyone's at the end of their rope. I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do.
You already got people crashing out. I had a talk the other day with a certain someone about YouTube automation, right? And his name is Reishi. He does YouTube automation, so he has several YouTube channels. So I wanted to talk with him. I talked with him about using the platform YouTube as a way to promote a business to get traffic from. So basically, he went back to our past conversations we had about paying somebody to do your videos for you. And I didn't need nobody to pay to do my videos because I could do my own videos. What I was trying to understand was the system that he was behind it. So he shows me a bunch of new AI softwares that I have never seen before versus the ones that he gave that didn't wasn't really much use. So before we ended the call, he said, I told him that trying to grow on YouTube is no easy task. It is dedication and hard work. You know what he said? He said it's a lot easier to grow on YouTube. I'm here to tell you guys, if you have somebody that tell you that it's easy to grow on YouTube, do not believe that. Take that with a grain of salt. Because I'm going to tell you, it is not easy to grow on YouTube. If you're trying to grow on YouTube because you got AI softwares and you're doing YouTube automation when YouTube is shutting down channels that's got AI in it. And I'm surprised he ain't next. But don't ever have people lie to you and tell you that it's easy to grow on YouTube. Because it's not easy to grow on YouTube. Just like YouTube can get you monetized, you can just as easily get demonetized. Or your channel can be taken down. So, if you are planning on starting a YouTube channel, just understand that starting a YouTube channel is not easy. It is very difficult, especially getting the watch hours. It is not easy. It's not easy trying to find your core audience. You know, people are already experiencing drops in views, and you already got YouTube automation that's really killing the channels. And he tried to offer me a $1,700 software, which we're going to get to in a minute. But we want to stay in, I just want to stay on this topic because we'll probably do that on the next live stream. But he wanted to, he told me that you can start with paying him half and half. And I'm just like, I don't have the money to do that. And the reason is easy for him because he has a whole bunch of AI softwares that he done wasted money on. He said a friend of his built one and he built one, and it's great, but people in India are the ones that get on YouTube and they scam people. And I was a dumb idiot. I spent $400 on a software that I don't even use anymore. And the reason I don't use it anymore because it's not really useful to me. Because he's trying to get everything to sound like Mr. Beast. And I don't know what is it with people and Mr. Beast. They're trying to imitate him, and I don't know, but it just doesn't really work for me. I prefer to do things my own way. Because doing it the way every other YouTube guru tells you to do it, it may have worked for them, but that doesn't mean that it'll work for you. This man right here is crashing out. And there's more of them crashing out.
No matter what you do, no matter how much you make, it's not enough. Because you still got.
And here's the thing. You can work 2 or 3 jobs. All that money that you busted off working is never going to be enough. What America is doing is breaking people down. They are having people that are just going to be dead and They just want them to overwork themselves. But what you got to do is you have to stand up for yourself. Now, honestly, I'm thinking about moving to an island somewhere and just staying there and never coming back to the US. That's what I'm honestly thinking right now, because right now it's just ridiculous here. Tired of always having to work all the time. Tired of always having to deal with people all the time. You know, people don't even speak no more. They act like you're a threat to them. Tired of always having to, it's just a draining of energy dealing with people, period. And I get where this guy's coming from. And if I was in his shoes, I'd be crashing out too, which I have many times before on this channel.
Nothing.
I don't care how nothing gets paid. I'm going to go get my nails fixed. I'm going to take my stepdaughter over to an adventure park to celebrate her 15th birthday that we didn't get to celebrate yet. I don't care. I don't care anymore. To continue to work hard, to sweat, to cry, to be angry, just to afford to live. I'm not doing it no more. I don't care how the lights get paid. I don't care how nothing gets paid. I'm not doing it no more. You know it's bad when you're borrowing money from Cash App.
I didn't know that was
And a lot of us are doing that.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I did that before myself too. I borrowed money from Cash App. It's really bad. That's how bad it's getting. So when I was talking to this lady that's from the Philippines, she's looking at things from both sides, but I can't speak on the Philippines. I can speak on what goes on here in America. I get it that people over there are not making enough money there, but if they come here to America, guess what? You're going to be working to death, and you're not going to be able to see any of the money that you make, because everything is high except for your paycheck on the jobs you work. And the jobs are not going to keep up with the cost of living. The jobs that you work are falling behind, while everything else continues to increase and go up. That's my message to the lady that I worked with that's from the Philippines. But people don't see it that way, that don't live in this country or are not from here, wherever they're from. They don't see it that way. They just look at it from both sides. Nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, America's not the Philippines, and the Philippines is not America. The difference is, it's hard to get a job there because you have to be attractive. You have to be in your early 20s to get a job there, and they don't pay that much money. In America, you do get paid, and some jobs you get paid really well. But with the cost of living, this is 500 times or 50 times more higher than what you get paid on your job. You're not going to see that money. That's the difference. Because I don't care about what's bad over here and what's bad over there. I'm just saying that I'm going to the Philippines and maybe visit Thailand one day. It's because I'm tired of this quality style of living. Tired of eating food that is poisoned. I'm tired of them poisoning the air. I'm just tired of nothing just don't last very long in this country. Everything is short term.
We all fixing to end up in civil court over Cash App, borrow limit, afterpay. And then people tell you half favor is going to get better. No, it's not. It's going to get worse. If you don't know the word, then just say that.
Now, didn't I say in recent live streams that it was going to get worse? Didn't I say in recent live streams that it was going to get worse, especially in 2027? And here you have somebody that's saying the same thing. For Kabalski 67 says it could be way worse. But guess what? It's already way worse. And it's going to get extra way worse in 2027.
A lot of us have been struggling like this all of our lives. And to know that it's going to get worse is like, damn. We ain't going to ever be able to enjoy it. Especially when you've been struggling all your life. Just to find out it's fixing to get worse. So I'm going to make it better for me in the moment. I can't afford to do anything else. If we don't do something for ourselves just to keep ourselves sane, we're going to go crazy. And I refuse. After everything that I've been through in life, to allow the devil to make me go crazy because of some shit that's out of...
You know, a lot of people, especially ladies like this, they always put God and the devil in it. The devil ain't got nothing to do with this. It's Donald Trump and his administration and the people in Congress. Everybody in the government system are the ones that's making it way worse for the people in America. They don't care nobody about nothing in this country. And people from other countries don't understand that. They don't know how bad it's getting. And when they find out, they try to duck and dodge and talk about, oh, well, it's way better than when I was at. And I get that. But you can make money here, but you're not going to see any of it.
Control.
A lot of people still...
Alright, so that's it for that video. And we're gonna find another video. Let me see, because I know she had a video where people were crashing out. So we're gonna find that. Oh, let's go to videos and yeah, well, okay. You guys, give me 1 second. I Alright, guys, I am back. Alright, so let me see here. Let's go up to find some of these videos. Oh. Okay, so yeah, let's skip what she just okay. 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 Alright. Alright. Alright, so here's another video of the same creator. And she did a video talking about how now that Americans are losing the right to fix their own cars or to repair it. Let's get to it.
Your own vehicle. Manufacturers are now blocking the data needed for you to repair your vehicle. There's quite literally a repair act happening. It prevents the manufacturers from controlling the data needed that you would need in order to fix your vehicle. So what does that mean? That means if you are mechanically inclined, you are no longer allowed to fix your own vehicle. You would have to return to the manufacturer in order to have your vehicle repaired. So the small guys, like small town body shops, if you're mechanically inclined and you know how to fix whatever in your vehicle, you can't do that anymore because now they're blocking the data so that you cannot do it. In insurance, there's something called anti-steering laws, which means that if your vehicle is damaged in an accident or something, an insurance company cannot tell you you have to take your vehicle to body shop A in order to have it repaired. They cannot tell you that. You are able to take it to body shop A, B, or C. What they can say is that if you don't take it to body shop A, we can't guarantee the results because they have contracts in place and all of those things, but they can't say we're not going to cover your claim because you brought it to wherever you wanted. That's called an anti-steering law. Those are in place for a reason, but I need to know how this is any different. The anti-steering law is essentially who can fix my car. The Repair Act is blocking your ability to get the data from your vehicle so that you can make the repairs. In what world is this the land of the free and you're not even able to fix your own property? Stay safe, drink your water, I'll talk to you.
Imagine going to prison for fixing your own truck. That's something that automakers are pushing politicians, and they want to outlaw independent mechanics and you being able to work on your own truck. Yesterday, CEO Ford met with President Trump to complain that automakers are losing money because independent mechanics are working on cars. They want to make it a law where people can no longer fix their own cars. It's an American pastime. Dads work with their kids. They did oil changes, they change their brakes, they change their tires. How many of you worked on your cars with your parents, right? I know I did. That's how I learned about cars. And now they were trying to ban that. They're trying to do away with independent mechanics because they want to charge you $200-300 an hour in labor. But the independent mechanic, that's your friend, he can go in and do a lot of your jobs for substantially cheaper. It's all about fleecing Americans. John Deere tried that and see how that worked out, right? That's every day we cross the thing where Big Brother keeps getting bigger and bigger. You want to lock up people for every little thing. This is my car. I own it. I can work on it if I want to. If I want to go sit there and take this wheel off myself and fix it myself, I should be able to do so. If I want to do a transmission job and I know how to do so, I should be allowed to. Now we want to basically do everything where big corporations control everything.
Yeah, and that goes back to the other video that I just shown. It's like in America, they're trying to control everything. They want to control where you live, where you go, where you get your gas from. They want to be in control of everything. And it's ridiculous. You know, you should be able to work on your own car. You shouldn't have to spend so much money just to get somebody else to fix your car. You should be able to fix your own car. You shouldn't have to. And basically, you mean to tell me that people are getting locked or are really going to get in trouble because they are fixing their cars and they're allowed to? They're not allowed to? So let me get this straight. So let's say I had a car, right? Let's say if I want to change the oil in it, I want to repair the tires. If I do those things, or let's say if I want to fix my transmission, I want to renew my own oil. So you mean to tell me if I do those things, I get arrested and put in jail because I'm fixing my own car? I don't know what Donald Trump is doing, but this is ridiculous.
Congress passes this, this is one of the worst things ever. Do you know how many mechanics were going to go out of business? Do you know how many parts stores are going to go out of business? And their argument is this: because hackers will hack into these computers. Well, let me tell you something. Get rid of all this electronics, because ever since you guys put electronics in all these cars, they're acting up. They're not doing it. I don't want cameras telling me that I can enter and exit my vehicle. I don't want cameras telling me that I need 2 hands on my steering wheel when I already have 2 hands on my steering wheel. I don't need my car watching me and slowing down because I slouch down in my seat and it thinks that I'm falling asleep. No, I just slouch down to get comfortable. I'm urging Congress and I'm urging President Trump, take this proposed law and throw it in the garbage. This is not what Americans want. This is not America. At that point, what's the difference between us and China and Russia? It's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. We're not a free country.
I agree. America has never been a free country. And see, that's a lot of people. A lot of people that come from other countries that come here, they don't see it that way because they don't do their research and they don't understand how bad it's getting here until they actually come up here. Then they get modernized and then they get everything else. But the thing is, it's like, it's never been the land of the free. America has always been a country where it's control. You get overworked, underpaid, and then you crash out, financially stressed, burnt out emotionally and physically and mentally, and other people are going through the same thing. It's just that simple.
Lost our rights ages ago.
Everyone's talking about right to repair, and Illinois is banning old cars, but nobody's connecting the dots. So let me do it for you. A few days ago, I showed you the TCU telematics control unit inside your car. That's recording your driving data and selling it to insurance companies. GM just got hit with a federal lawsuit for it. That video had over 300,000 views. But here's what's happened since. Ford filed patent to read your lips, scan your iris, monitor your heart rate, and run your face through a criminal database inside your own truck. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's a published patent from Ford Global Technologies. At the same time, automakers are lobbying Congress to make sure you never access your car's electronics. The Repair Act was supposed to give you the right to your own vehicle data. They gutted it in a committee, stripped the telematics provision completely. And now Illinois just passed HB 4948. 2 speeding tickets in a year, you're forced to install a speeding tracking device for $30 a month. And you have to have that for 3 years. And if your car is older than 1996, guess what? It doesn't have the port. You can't comply, your license is suspended, and you're fucking done. The patent, the surveillance, they lock you out of your electronics so you can't disable it. They sell your data to insurance companies. They make it illegal to drive anything they can't monitor, and then they kill the classic car market in the process. It was never about safety. It was never about emissions. It's about control and revenue. And if you drive a 57 Chevy or 69 Mustang or anything built before computers, they want you off the road. Share this before they bury it.
The U.S. federal government wants access to your personal...
This is crazy. I'm telling you. This is why I said in my recent video, you're going to have to leave America. Go to an island. You're going to have to do something. And I would prefer that you do it before it's too late. because at this point, it's going to only get worse. And it's never going to get better.
History. They want to know what you bought, where you bought it. They want to know your name, your phone number, your email address, and they even want to know what you did with it in the privacy of your own home because of one of these. And they want to do it without a warrant. Now, this video is not really about the car or truck in your driveway, or in my case, on the ranch. It really is about ownership and about the right to repair the things that you and I buy with our own money. The DOJ is getting around warrants by using the terms of service in the app stores that we use on our phones and our laptops. They think that because you clicked I agree, that you gave up your Fourth Amendment right. Now, they're currently going after Apple, Amazon, Google, and Walmart to turn over hundreds of thousands of users' full purchase records. Then they want to come talk to you and interview you on how you used those products. You'd literally be talking to law enforcement and testifying against yourself, because law enforcement, they don't interview innocent people. Now, this particular case is called United States versus EasyLink. And EasyLink makes the little devices that you connect to cars and trucks to tune them. Now, I promise you, this really isn't just about these small little devices and tuning your cars and trucks. And I have a little personal connection to this because I had the government come after me civilly for something very similar. They wanted access to my customers, and I fought and said no. But I'll tell you more about that after I explain how this affects you. EasyLink makes a device that plugs into the OBD2 port on your vehicle. That port has been standard on every car and truck sold in the United States since 1996. It's the port that your mechanic uses to pull codes. It's the same port that the entire right to repair movement is built upon. EasyLink built a cloud platform around that port. Plug in the EasyLink device, pair that to the EasyLink app, and your tuner, wherever that is, can deliver a new calibration file directly to your vehicle's ECM. No asking permission from the manufacturer who sold you the vehicle and would very much like to keep charging you every time you need to touch it. That's why people bought EasyLink, not as some coordinated act of defiance. It's simply because they own a vehicle and they wanted to control it. Here's what the DOJ told the court about why they need the names and addresses of 100,000 EasyLink customers. They want to interview them as witnesses to understand how they used EasyLink. Now think about that for a second. The government doesn't interview innocent people. When a federal agent shows up at your door asking how you personally used a product that the DOJ thinks violated the law, again, that's not a witness interview. You're a suspect. They already know how people use EasyLink. So the interviews aren't about gathering information. The DOJ sits down across from someone who bought EasyLink, and that person who thinks that they're helping starts explaining exactly what they did with it, without a lawyer in the room. At that point, you're no longer a customer who bought a product. You're a dependent building.
And this is crazy. Can you just imagine, like, being controlled of everything? What are they going to do next? They're going to build houses and put hidden cameras in there, too? They're just controlling everything. It is insane. Something big has or probably has already been going on for quite some time under our noses, and the government is not telling people anything. There's always these different distractions with people getting assassinated, and the ISIS is pulling people out of their homes and arresting and getting rid of foreigners that here legally and not here on the right terms. All of that is distractions, because the news reporters, they need something to put a story out there, because that's how they make their money. However, what's really going on is stuff like this. And America is pretty much no different than China. They're all in the same boat. They're controlling you. So you mean to tell me that most of the cars that we drive, they put EasyLink into your vehicles because they're keeping up with everything you do? I remember there was a talk like that once before. How there was going to be keeping up, the government trying to keep up with everything that you do. At first I thought somebody was crazy when they talked about that stuff. But now, I don't know. I don't think they're as crazy as they say they are. I don't think that they're as crazy anymore because now I'm starting to see these things unfold. And if you think about it, if they're really doing this, what else could they be doing? Now, I'm not going to finish the rest of this video, but I can say this to say this. Um but I am going to say this to say this. And what I can say is America is not a place that you can call home anymore. America is a place where you're going to be forever struggling. You're going to be forever going through. Everybody's going to have their hand out because they want money. And they don't care if you're overworked and stressed. And the landlords, they want more money. They don't care about nothing else. They don't care if, if you're a dollar short, you don't have it, they throw you out on the streets. America's just not the place anymore. Jobs are being nitpicky. They don't want to hire people. And then when they hire you, you find out afterwards that, oh, our hours have been cut significantly low. A lot of these corporations are doing whatever they can to keep their shareholders and stock investors and stock market going up. Meanwhile, you have a president that's manipulating the stock market to finance his administration and only his administration, while everybody else is sitting out here struggling. This country doesn't care about you. You have to leave, for those of you that are able to, go to a place where you are appreciated and tolerated. There are countries out here that will literally pay you just for staying in their country and building a new life. And I'm just going to tell you guys, like, America is not it. It's not the country. And then you got so many people, including myself, going to school, trying to get a degree. And then you get into this ridiculous, oversaturated job market, and the skill that you pick up, it's like it's no longer in use anymore. And then that's not even starting with the trades. So at this point, I do encourage you guys to follow your dreams at this point. I'm planning on probably just moving to an island. Because, this is ridiculous. And what's worse, families are throwing their kids out on the streets. Especially single moms. Mothers that done dated the wrong dude. It's always a constant thing. Always. Alright, let's get to another one here. Give me 1 second. It's sad, guys. This country is a sad case of... It's really sad. And the thing is that this country, it's not the same as it is anymore. And some of the videos I haven't even seen yet. And it's even getting so bad that you got people who got pets are feeding them table food because they can't even afford to give them a bag of dog food. Even pets are getting expensive.
Something really interesting is happening across America. More parents are really questioning whether or not traditional schools are still the best option for their children. In the U.S., in the past 10 years.
Alright, give me 1 second. Alright, so let's go here. And this is going to be the last live stream for today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching in. Thank you guys for the subscription. If you guys I have a link tree, a link down below if you guys want to buy some merch, if you guys want to support, it's there. And the reason is because I don't have super chats yet. I don't have 500 subscribers yet. So I won't be able to get 500 subscribers for a while now. So but the link is there if you guys want to buy a merch. I'm thinking about buying a t-shirt myself, so I can show it to you guys. But as a result, this is going to be the last video for today. I don't know, maybe I'll continue to stream. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can. Okay. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. Properties. Go here and then back here. There we go. Alright, here we go. Here we go.
Scores dropped in 70% of districts, and this does transcend wealthy and poor districts. What's critical here is that the decline in scores started happening before the pandemic.
I'm glad the conversations are starting to be had on a larger platform in front of a bigger audience. It's almost like our children sitting inside of a building for 8 hours a day isn't working, and it hasn't been working for a very long time. And unfortunately, it's taken a while for experts to realize this. Now I'm going to get the question, well, what do you expect us to do? Homeschool your children. The statistics in that regard are on your side.
So I'm a newly homeschooling mom, and I'm a former school social worker / school therapist. And I loved working in the schools, but I will not send my child to public school. I worked with preschool, elementary school, middle school, lots of middle school and high school. And I loved my students so much. It was so much fun. It was so fulfilling. I loved being able to help them. But their realities, what they were living in school every day, it will sit with me forever. My experience left me feeling like no child in the school really even knows what it's like to feel fully content and happy and safe. They are enduring, they're in survival mode, and they don't even realize it. And I know a lot will disagree with me on that, but it's just the feeling I got.
Now, I'm definitely a big fan of homeschooling, so I'm happy to see this. In fact, we're seeing that
explore when and where we want to and not be stuck to a school schedule. Want to be able to control their learning environment. If we want to go learn at a zoo or an aquarium or a national park, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to control their influence and who they're around and what friends they have, and not the snooty kid that's a bully or that thinks he's a cat. No, thank you. I want to be able to control how much movement they get, how much outside time they get, how much family time they get. I want to be able to control what curriculum they're being taught and the pace at which they learn. I want to be able to control.
And this is why the school systems in America sucks, because they're reading they're not reading at the level, or maybe and they're not as educated. It's because these teachers are not teaching them nothing. And then you got the LGBTQ that's in schools too, teaching them about the gay BCs, and it's just and then what's worse is, in middle school, high school, you got teenagers bringing guns to school, slaughtering everybody in schools. There's a shootout. It's always something going on in these schools. And it is causing these people to have this mindset and to be modernized. And not only to be modernized, but they're rebellious against their parents. They're doing drugs. They're just doing crazy stuff and they don't care. And that's why a lot of these people, they grow up, they get into trouble, they get records, and you know, they get all kinds of stuff going on with them because they weren't being taught. And I always say, like, everything, it starts at home. Ooh, what happened to my? Sorry guys, hold on for a second. I can't seem to find. That ain't good. Hold on for a second. Okay. And I always say, like, it's just never a good idea to be um it's just never a good idea to let your kids go to school. If they're in school, if they're in, like, if you're homeschooling them is always going to be the best thing, because then your kids will come out as better people. You could teach them things. You can always be involved into their lives, rather than sending them off to public schools and you letting other strangers teach their kids or whatever they teaching them, and they surrounded by bad influences and other crazy stuff that's going on. At least with family, you can. But in today's society, once they get of age, you already know they're going to, especially the families like mine that are dysfunctional, that they just don't like you altogether. They just want you to struggle. They want you to go out there. They want you to go through some of the same things that you're going through in life. They're just going to throw you out on the streets. Meanwhile, you got to walk on eggshells. You have to figure out, like, what you're going to do. And it's just an ongoing reality. It is a ongoing reality. And it's gotten so bad, even parents will neglect their own child, even if he's old enough to make it on his own. Well, Adam, there's nothing I can really do about that, man, because my mic is just, it's probably because I got it too high. Not too high. What am I talking about? I got it too low, the mic itself too low. But there's not much I can really do about that, because on my software, I already got it up higher. Like, my volume for my mic is max to the volume, so maybe it's something on your end, Adam, because everything is fine on my end, and I'm talking perfectly clear. even with the mic close to my mouth. So maybe it's some, maybe you have to try to refresh your page or something, because maybe you can probably hear it. Anyway, let's get on with this video right quick. Oh, and Adam, thank you for joining in to the stream.
Life skills that they're being taught. I want to be able to control the ability to protect their childhood and their innocence. You can do whatever you want with your kids, and if you think public school is a good option for you, great. But I'm going to do what I feel is right and necessary for my family and my kids, and for us, that's homeschool. If you don't like it, just move along. It doesn't affect your life at all.
I'm hoping you guys all know that we have a literacy problem in this country, or maybe you do and you have no idea how bad it is. So I've worked in a high school for 3 years now. I've worked with freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, all of them. They all have very similar issues when it comes to literacy. I've seen way too many students who legitimately cannot read or write. But even some of my honor students can't find the page that I need them to go to because they don't know what the table of contents is. And then they'll say, like, I can't find the answer because it's not in one of the bolded headings. I said, you have to read it. And they said, but it's not in there. It's in the first sentence. And this is, I'm not trying to say anything bad about the kids. This is a much bigger issue, especially you're sending them to high school without these skills. But people don't know about that.
Okay, call it a midlife crisis. Call it what you want. I am understanding.
And this is why homeschooling is so important. This is why when you're teaching your kids, it always starts at home before you go anywhere else to teach your kids. Because the thing is some of these kids ain't educated because their parents are not teaching them anything. And this is why a lot of people here in America, they act the way they act towards people because they weren't raised right. They keep getting with the wrong people to marry and have babies with. And then it becomes, and history consistently keeps repeating itself.
In a whole new way. I've been very in my feelings about how fast my daughter's childhood is going by. She's 11 going on like 27. But anyways, so in defense of homeschool, we did not always homeschool. We were not a traditional homeschool family. I used to be a career mom. We were at great little private schools, and for a lot of different reasons decided to try homeschool 2 years ago. And what I am learning and understanding is just how much time I've gotten back with her and how much I will never give that away again if I can help it. We know that so much time is wasted in a traditional school setting. So for me, I have no interest in going back to that. My daughter is growing up so fast, and I am just seeing how fast it's going, and I just will not sacrifice giving that up. And it makes me sad to think of all of the people and families that feel like homeschool just isn't for them. And there are some families where homeschool is just not for you. I totally get that. But if you're just not even willing to like try it or entertain it or pray about it, I think you're going to look back and have regrets. I think you're going to be like, oh, I actually did let someone else raise my kids. Because, and I know this is getting long, because you have to think about the traditional day of a family that's doing traditional school. Your mornings are rushed, your afternoons are rushed. When do you actually have downtime? When do you have family time? When do you fit it all in? And I still feel busy. We're still going to activities. We still have things almost every night of the week. But I have this extra time that other families don't. And I will not give it up. I will sacrifice almost everything else that I can to keep that time, because I know how fast it's going by, and I feel that so deeply in my soul, and I don't want to give it up. And it makes me so sad for families that it's like they just don't see it. They don't understand it. And I'm like, it's your kid's gonna be in college and you're gonna wish you had that time back.
As of the end of this month, we are going to be pulling my son from a private Christian school, and he's going to start second grade in homeschool. And I always thought that he was going to be private Christian school, and I always thought that that was the route, but Both of my kids are coming home, and we have decided that that's what's best for us. I've stopped working for the most part. I mean, I still do a marketing job on the side, but you know, homeschooling I feel like is a growing trend. I know it's a growing trend, especially for Christian evangelical homes, and we are one of them. I'm tired of the bullying in schools. I'm tired of being told that it was my son's fault being bullied for sitting next to an older kid on the school bus. That was the reason why he got punched in the face. I'm tired of being told that boys will be boys, and it's
You guys hear that, right? You guys hear that, right? Mind you, this is a private Christianity school. That's also a problem. So not only do you have public schools that are the problem, you also got private schools, let alone Christian private schools that are also the problem. So let me get this straight. So not only do you have public schools that are, you know, that are not safe for kids to go to, that are got teenagers bringing guns to school, slaughtering over 50% of the individuals that are in that school, and about half of them are bruised and the other ones are dead. But you also have private schools that are also troublesome, let alone Christianity private schools. So private schools are also the problem, as well as public schools. And I was always taught that in private schools you learn more than you do in public schools. Well, unfortunately, that's a lie. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gents, that is actually a lie. And she just said it. Mm, mm, mm. This is crazy. Even Christianity schools. Even Christianity schools. Christianity schools. Private schools are the problem, as well as public schools. As I said before, it starts at home before it starts anywhere else. And what's funny is I used to go to one of the best schools in the state of Alabama. I went to a Christian school too. So I get exactly what she's talking about. I was a kid back then. I had to deal with the same issues. I got bullied. I got told by my parent that it was my fault that I got bullied. Same thing when I was in high school. It's just ridiculous. And then the mother is beating the death out of the child. when it wasn't even his fault to begin with. Okay.
Going to get worse as they get older in school. That doesn't help at all. I don't know why they would tell me that. And I'm tired of having my son being forced to sit still for 5 out of the 6 hours that he's at school. And that just doesn't sit right with me. He should have more freedom. Kids in general should just have more freedom to learn. They should have the ability to ask questions and not be shamed in doing so. They should have the ability to want to learn. I feel like school actually suppresses that. For my research, it feels like I think that school is just built to be a system for the factory workers or something, like 150 years ago or whatever, when Henry Ford did it 100 years ago, to build factory workers. So they put in a dedicated education system that every single kid can follow and do the same thing day in, day out. But if you're going to be a business owner, trigonometry is not going to apply to you if you're going to cut grass for a living and make a very good business, a very good living. I know people that have a very good living doing that. I know people that have a multi-million-dollar clientele book of business in construction and remodeling. And guess what? That doesn't take a degree. And you can hire an accountant to do your books. It's really not that complicated to do it. And homeschooling can get you there. Homeschooling can get you the necessary tools. If you also want to be a rocket scientist, you could do that. You can go to space camp. You can have the freedom to do these things. And I wholeheartedly believe that school should be something where you learn by doing and that you should have a joy in learning. I like having a joy in learning. It was squashed when I went to pursue my degree in business. I have a bachelor's and a master's, and I felt like I hated learning during that process. I was put in a box. I was learning classes that I didn't want to learn, but I had to do it to check off a box and earn credits. But why? Like, I'm never going to have to learn accounting because I work in marketing. And it just totally killed my drive. So,
And I get what she's talking about. It's just, with these colleges now, and it's really different. It's just like the only reason they got all the college students that are taking these classes is because they want to try to get the credits that you need to get the degree. But if you don't need to really take that class, then why take it in the first place when you don't really have to? And the thing is, like, not even these colleges are preparing people for the workforce. They're just letting you do whatever you can to get college credits, and that's it. Meanwhile, you'll be sitting there with a debt of $52,000+ in student loan debt that you can ever pay off. That'll take you 5 to 10 years of your lifetime to pay off. It kills the learning drive about a lot of people when they're taking classes and they learning things that they'll never be able to use in the workforce. That has nothing to do with their degree whatsoever.
I don't know. I felt compelled to just kind of say that, like, homeschooling really feels like that's a solid route for our family. And I'll post more about that as we go along. We'll probably start this summer, but yeah, pretty stoked about it.
I am a homeschool mom in a free homeschool state, meaning I do not have to do any of these things legally. I do not have to inform anybody that I'm homeschooling my kids. If I want to homeschool them, I just homeschool them. I can pick whatever curriculum I want to use. I can create my own. I can buy from somebody else. It does not matter. There is no requirements or standards that I have to use. There's nothing that's pre-approved. I can literally pick whatever curriculum I want to use. I do not have to submit any kind of state testing or any kind of portfolios to the government. I don't have to do that. I don't have to sign up with a charter school or a private school. I am my own homeschooling.
And that's good. I think that more and more parents like her, they need to start homeschooling their kids. Because if you homeschool your kids, they come out becoming a better person. But if you just rushing them off to a different school, a public school, they're not going to come out as better people. So homeschooling does work. because none of these schools are going to be benefiting the student.
That's kind of what it is. So in a nutshell, I literally get to do whatever I want with my homeschooling without any type of oversight or somebody telling me what to do and what to pick and how to homeschool.
I was a high school teacher in the public school system, and I honestly was shocked that kids no longer know how to do these 3 things. I could probably list 10, but these were the 3 that were most shocking to me, and the last one just blew my mind. First one was just hard cash, how to deal with counting back change, how to know the value of a dime, a nickel, a penny, and how to count change. I would bring in games like Monopoly just so that they could deal with cash money instead of Apple Cash, ATM cards, just dealing with hard cash. The second skill that I just had no clue and feel like I was just living under a rock was kids don't know their address anymore. When I was a kid, I had to memorize my address, my mom's phone number. That is gone. They don't know their address. They don't know anyone's phone number. That is a skill that I would probably ask all of my kids that would come through my classes, and I would ask them to write down their address, and probably 1 out of 30 actually knew their address without looking at their phone. The third one that was most shocking to me, because when I was a kid, I was so excited for this. I was living for this day, but it's getting their driver's license. High school students have zero motivation to get their license. They are not getting their license before they graduate. They're getting at 18, 19, 20. I think that there's just so much anxiety and hesitation around getting a driver's license that kids have zero motivation to get a driver's license. All of this just made me realize how important real life skills are, because confidence, independence, communication, responsibility.
Okay, so with driver's license, I can understand that because you got a lot of crazy drivers today in this today present world that we live in, and a lot of people, because a lot of the things that you read in a driver's book, a lot of drivers don't follow and they don't drive accordingly to what's in the driver's book. So I can relate to being not wanting to get your driver's license, because when I was around that age, I had anxiety too, and I didn't want to get my driver's license. However, when it comes to counting change and being able to remember your address, to be honest with you, I don't think that's necessarily really important, but in the sense it is important if you're taking a Uber and or you're trying to um whatever that you're doing. But these are like high school kids. They're just taking the bus home. They don't really remember what their address is. The school bus will drop them off, and then when the school bus drops them off, that's it. You know? And see, my only thing is like the fact that they can't count money. I used to struggle with that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I didn't even know how to tell time on a hand clock. I can only tell time on a digital clock. Now, not only have I learned how to tell time on a hand clock and a digital clock, but I can also tell time military time. But it was because I wasn't taught by my family of how to do these things. It was more the way that they were teaching me back in the day, even how to add and multiply and subtract, right? The way they were homeschooling me to do it, it was more like they were putting a gun to my head. And if I didn't come up with the right answers, they were going to blow my brains out. Now, I'm not saying this to be over dramatic or anything like that, but this is like a metaphor that I'm bringing out to you guys, because this is just, I'm just saying metaphorically, it felt like if I didn't get the right answer on a piece of paper, if I didn't tell what time and what the hand was, because I was told that the shorthand tells the hour and the longhand tells the minute. But what was confusing me about that is, okay, well then how do I know if it's still 9 o'clock? How do I know if it's still 12 o'clock? If the hand is no longer pointing, if the shorthand is no longer pointing at the 12, I was struggling with those things when I was a kid, because I didn't have nobody that could properly teach me how to tell time. My uncle didn't even know how to teach me. The way his vibe was, it was more like he was putting a gun to my head and forcing me, or a knife to my throat and forcing me to come up with the right answer when telling time. Now, my sister can get it no problem. But when it came to me, I just got abused a lot from this family. I got mistreated, you know? And it was like, and then I met a guy, he's from Africa, a guy that my mother met. And the way he taught me how to tell time, it was a little different. It was easy to remember than the way I was taught by my uncle and my mother. And it actually helped. And because of that, he actually, he actually he taught me a different way, and it helped. Now I know how to, you know, since then I've been learning how to tell time using a hand clock, not just digital, but I can also tell military time. As you learn these things as you get older, and as you progress and move on to higher and better heights and whatever, right? So my thing is this is why homeschooling is important, and this is why America is failing a lot of people. Parents are failing their kids because they don't know how to do anything and they don't have any skills, and the reason is because their parents are responsible for teaching them the skills and the things they're supposed to know. Because remember, anything that you're supposed to be learning, it starts at home first before anywhere else.
Problem solving don't magically appear at 18. These are the 15 life skills that I really think every kid should know before adulthood hits them hard. How to do laundry, how to grocery shop, how to cook basic meals, how to manage money, how to stay organized, how to manage their time, how to talk on the phone, how to swim, how to find a job, how to read a map, how to use public transportation, how to stand up for themselves, how to cope with failure, how to clean a home, how to drive safely. The goal isn't raising perfect kids, it's raising capable kids. But I would love to know your opinion. What skills do you think that kids should know today that you don't see anymore?
What I think kids need to be showing today is when it comes to their daughters, they need to learn how to date. They need to understand how to act as a lady, not going around acting like they're strong and independent, not going around, wearing all these crazy tattoos all over them, wearing nose rings and, looking like they're badass when they ain't, trying to fight a man and dealing with transgendering and all of this other stuff. And what I think that they should do is they need to teach their daughters how to be ladylike and not to act like a man. Not going around self entitled, wanting to know how much money a man has in his wallet. And that's the only way that's the only reason you want to be with that person. And when it comes to the sons, they need to raise their sons to not going around screwing every girl that walks on the face of the earth just because they're trying to fit in with a certain group. You know, the young men that are out here, the boys need to be taught and raised to be a man, not some sassy, lassie person. They need to grow up and understand that you can do anything that you put your mind through, that you put your mind to. To stop letting families and other people degrade your way of living, or whoever that they listen to that they admire, or whatever the case is. I don't know. But they need to start following their path. They also need to learn the importance, and I think kids as a whole, they need to, as they get older, they need to learn how to invest. They need to learn how the stock market works. They need to learn how to manage their money and what they should do. They need to learn that stuff. You know what I mean? And they need to also learn to whatever skill that whatever job that they choose to go into. Hold on. Hold on for a second. And the thing is that that's what they need to teach their kids. They need to teach their kids this stuff because this is important. You know, these parents need to be living as an example of how they're supposed to operate. Because right now, the kids that are in this generation right now, they ain't been taught nothing. They're out there doing drugs, drinking, bringing guns to school, doing criminal activities, stealing stuff. They're doing all kinds of mischievous stuff. So those are the main things they need to be teaching them. They need to be teaching them to be respectable to their elders. They need to be taught a lot of stuff they need to be taught. They need to be taught that how valuable time is in their future. But these parents are not training these kids in a way that they should go so that when they are older, it'll be with them. They're not training these kids like that. You got too many women getting with the wrong dudes and too many dudes getting with the wrong women. And what's worse is, there's too many divorces happening. America has the highest divorce rate than any other country in the European region. Go look it up. So until parents, the overall majority of parents, start really becoming families, stop throwing their childs out on the streets. If you can't raise them, give them up for adoption. If you can't give them the life that they want because you're struggling, then you shouldn't have kids in the first place. Give the kid to somebody that will be able to give the kid to somebody who will raise them and give them the life that you can't give them. Don't just have them struggling and pinching nickels to get by because you went through it. And now because you're going through something, you think that history ought to repeat itself. It shouldn't have to repeat itself. There has to be a break. There has to be a breakthrough and a cut and a draw the line scenario when it comes to history repeating itself. All right, let's get back in because I got to go in a few minutes.
I got called out hard at Costco yesterday with the kids. People throw shade at me for different things about homeschooling, little digs here and there, but I did get called out in the middle of grocery shopping with my 4 kids, and it was like during school hours. And someone I know, not like a close friend, but anyway.
What's going on, Joseph Rickson? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing 2 live streams. I'm doing another live stream where we're doing a video reaction to different videos that people do with all the TikToks and on YouTube, just talking about basically how America is failing not only the people, but America is failing the children as well as the parents are failing the children. And thank you for the like, brother. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Oh, okay. All right, guys, let's get back into this. And people, now you're living in a country where, okay, so Joseph. All right, so I'm gonna bring you up to speed. Um, okay, so basically, in the last live stream I did, Donald Trump has released a law that are that are causing Americans to lose the right to repair their own cars. And if you're repairing your own car, that's going to consider you get arrested. And also, they're forcing Americans to go to the body shop or to a dealership to get their cars repaired. Okay, if that's necessarily the case, then what's going to happen to the AutoZone, auto parts stores, where men can go and they can get stuff that they need for their cars? What are they going to do? Shut them down just because the law has been passed? That's going to cause AutoZone and all the other places to go out of business. And so now it's getting so bad that we're living in a country where Donald Trump is manipulating the stock market. He's still going at war with Iran. He is squeezing the life out of this country, causing Americans to work like slaves at these corporate jobs that are paying less and less money over all the hours that they're working. And then what's even worse is everything is increasing except for the cost of living. Not the cost of living. Everything is increasing, including the cost of living. The only thing that's not increasing is our paychecks that we get from the jobs we work. So, with that being said, not only are you living in a country where your president and your own government doesn't care about you, is you have families that are dysfunctional, that are abandoning their own kids, throwing them out on the streets, getting told when they're going to leave, have they found a place yet? And then it even gets worse, Joseph. Now, not only do you have public schools in America, which is why the education system sucks in America, is you have teenagers bringing guns to school, killing up teachers and kids and other teenagers. But you also have private schools that are also just as much of a problem as going to a public school. And also, not just private schools, but Christianity schools are bullying people. And then, the teachers are always trying to make it seem like it's their kids' fault. They always trying to blame everything on the kids. Because I know back in the old days, that's what happened to me. When a fight broke out, because I got into many fights in school. When a fight broke out, it was always my fault, but it was never anybody else's fault. And they made it seem like I was the one that was causing all the crazy, all the drama, when I wasn't causing anything. So basically, homeschooling is pretty much the best for the kids because they need to be taught the things that they're not being taught about. They need to be taught how to invest money, how to make money. They need to be taught skills of whatever they're going to be going to. If they're going to like a technician camp or whatever, they need to be taught these things because then these kids will come out as better people. But if you're sending them to public and private schools, they're not coming out as better people based on the complaints that I'm hearing from the parents that are withdrawing their kids out of these crazy schools.
It was like, oh, see, this is why I could never homeschool my kids. Like, they would hate having to run errands with me all day, and they're so much happier in school. I did not give an explanation because I'm just kind of over it. I don't need to explain myself. But what she doesn't know, and what I wish more people understood, is that sometimes errands aren't just errands, right? What she doesn't know is that my kids are working on cooking meals for themselves, my older two. So they budgeted, picked out recipes, and are each planning a night this week to cook. My daughter's gonna do like pasta from scratch and a pasta sauce. My son's doing a steak dish. But the point is that these are real life skills. So when people ask, are homeschool kids ready for the real world? Well, you're isolating your kid in a box away from the world for 13 years. My child is understanding how to budget and finance for the things that we need, how to make a grocery list, how to meal plan, how to cook, how to provide for themselves. I feel like these are real life skills. I don't think it's just bebopping around errands with mom. Like, this is the reality of the world. We don't just put food on the table. It comes from somewhere. And the actual act of grocery shopping is a little boring. And the cooking can be fun, but we have to do it. That's real life. And they still also got their schoolwork done, by the way. You know, we did their schoolwork already before we even did that. And then we were on to life school. Just had to get that out. I don't know why people have to even make comments like that. But that's the real deal.
We pulled our son from the public school system when he was in the 2nd grade because he was losing his spark. I don't care what anybody says, the public school system is not meant for everyone. Education is not one size fits all. Our son is dyslexic and has problems with reading comprehension and had an IEP and was still not getting the help that he needed. He was enrolled in accelerated reader and could not read at all. And nobody showed him the read back feature on the computer and just sat him in front of the computer and he was clicking the buttons hoping that he was getting the right answer. And I had no clue that any of this was going on until he came home sobbing one day because he doesn't get to go on an accelerated reader field trip. And still, with the extra help with the reading specialist, it was not enough because he was at a table with 4 other students and still wasn't getting the one-on-one time that he needed. So here we are. He just finished up the 4th grade. He's going into the 5th grade in the fall. He loves to read. He can read fluently now. And he made a B on his literature test for his homeschool co-op. So there it is. I said what I said. Rant over. Let me know in the comments, do you feel the same way? Because surely I'm not the only one.
New data.
And here's the thing. The thing is, it's like, when you're homeschooling your kids, it's way better. They start to learn more. They start progressing more than you would if you're going to a public school. Because in public schools, the teachers are not teaching them anything. They're just giving them random homework assignments and expecting them to do it, and then that's it. They're not teaching them anything. So that's it for that video. We'll be back with some more videos real soon. And appreciate you guys over at the vertical live stream. And I appreciate you guys here on the live stream. Adam and Kowalski and the School of Flourishing. I appreciate you guys for joining in. I might just start with a horizontal live stream and then we just go from there. But right now, I'm going to have to probably just end this live and then just probably start another live real soon. I'll upload some shorts and stuff. And if you guys want to and don't hesitate to comment on the post. You know, do you guys want to start with Facebook group or a Discord group? I would prefer Discord because at least I have all of my subscribers that are going there, and then I can post, hey, this is what I'm going to be talking about. This is what's going to be, whatever. And then I can just build a community as I go. So when I go live, everybody will check Discord and they will know, okay, he's going live at this time. Now sometimes, because like on Thursday, I I have, like, a lot of times I'll put that I'm going live at 10:30, but I'm gonna also put that it's subject to change because, and the reason is because, like I said, I'm staying with roommates, and when it gets around like 9 or 10 o'clock, I can only be live for so long, right? And so from that point, I'm going to be probably just do more videos than I am doing live streams, but I will be going live. I probably go live tomorrow or maybe later on. It just depends. So, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I gotta go. This is Chaos signing out. If you guys want to support me even further, you don't have to, but I have merchandise links down below. I'm actually thinking about buying me a t-shirt too. T-shirts looks too good. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.